Hey, come on. Come on. Hey. What? Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Hey. Let's chit chat, this is the show now. Come on. Bad black mama's gonna let you know now. Hey. Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Come on. Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, hey. Let's chit chat, sis. Hey, what's up? Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey.
All right, everybody's here. Havana, she's
Hey.
gonna have her screen share. I mean, her profile picture on. But Havana, this is almost my entire team, excluding Chauncey. And thank you for joining us tonight. Before we get started, can you just introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do, so it won't be no awkwardness or trying to figure out, because this episode is about fetishes, and we're going to really heavily lean on you to ask a lot of our questions.
Okay. Can y'all hear me good?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
My
yes,
mother
indeed.
is in the background on the phone with my aunt, looking at Married at First Sight, and they are having a ball. So I just want to make sure y'all did not have to hear any of that. My name is Goddess Harami. I reside in Atlanta. I've been born and raised in North New Jersey. I've been down here for about 7 years, and I work in tech during the day, and I am a dominatrix by night. And I have been doing so consistently, nonstop, for 1 full year, but I have been seeing clients for about 3 to 4 years. And I was introduced to the BDSM world, which we playfully call big data security management, about 10 years ago. So
Is that Big Daddy security? Is that what?
Big data? Big data security management.
Okay.
All right. So
there's a lot of people in the BDSM world who are in tech. So it's very strange. Everybody I've came in across with in the tech industry is in BDSM somehow. So we use that playfully in order to keep it kind of gatekeep it, just not to put anybody's business out there. So
that's pretty cool though.
That is cool. So this episode is about fetishes. So I think that sounds pretty broad, because I think I have a foot fetish, because I like men that have nice feet. But that's just my thing. I don't want people with hammer time. But I think there's a lot of different fetishes, and I want everybody to look, keep it real, because I want y'all to ask the goddess about different fetishes. And I want you to tell us about the different things you run across in the dominatrix world, because the only thing I know about the dominatrix world is when I look at what is my show? My brother is going to kick me in my face. Billions. And
I heard of it.
Chuck Rose was into that life, and it was pretty interesting. So is that something that is similar to what you are experiencing, or tell us a little bit more about the dominatrix world?
Okay, cool. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate being in the presence of all of y'all, because
Thank you.
I like talking about that. And you can't really talk about this for everybody. You don't turn to the person in the barbershop chair and ask them, do they like to get pegged and stuff like that. That's just unheard of. So what I like to tell people, especially people who are new to BDSM, they're oh, well, I have this kink or I have this fetish. So I like to go ahead and ask people, what exactly is a kink or a fetish? Because they're very similar, but they're a little bit different. So a kink is something that is something sexual that someone likes to do with themselves or consensually with a partner. So it can bring some sort of erotic energy to a sexual encounter, role play and different things like that. But a fetish is it has to be present in order for the person to have some sort of arousal or enjoyment. So yes, feet. Exhibitionists, if you want to do some shit outdoors, things like that, those things, you have to be able to get a boner or hard, whatever like that, with that being present. So I prefer for men to have nice feet. I'm all for that and everything like that. But I want to say when I had first, before I even got into being a dom, I just noticed that my personality was like kind of like, it was kind of dominant, and my friends could see that as well. And they were like, "Oh, you were always the type of person that could do that." And I'm like, "No, I really don't think that I could." At that moment, I was like somebody who was like an undercover prude. Like I was someone who was on the outside, like, "Oh, I can never do that. Like that is just so fucking weird." And then on the inside, I'm like, I actually want to try that. Like, what's that like? And I realized that last year I couldn't be the type of person. I had recently went back to school,
Mhm.
and I knew that that was going to take some money from it, and in order for me to do so, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna go ahead and be out with it. I guess I have been taking clients for some time. I'm just gonna go ahead and be out in the open. If my friends like look at me funny, or my family or anybody like that, they just gonna have to just go ahead with it. So I took the opportunity of Twitter when they had announced that the fleets were gonna be going away.
What's that?
So Twitter had this thing, like, how you have like Instagram stories where you can like
Uh-huh.
click on a person's profile and you can see like their stories for 24 hours. Twitter had that briefly. And then
Okay.
they made an announcement that they were going to be focusing on the Twitter spaces so that they were going to be taking away the fleets.
Okay.
So that night was complete chaos because everybody was posting their nudes and God knows what up in the fleets.
Oh wow.
So I took that as an opportunity to post one of my foot job sessions. And that is when my Twitter absolutely exploded.
Wow.
Like I had to literally like like not go on the app because it was glitching. It was just everything was just moving slow. And everybody's just like, you do that? I couldn't expect for you to do, you really do that. And then some people are like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And other people are like, wow, like that really takes some sort of skill for you not to get cramped up. I'm like, trust me, it's not easy. But
So you have to give
Right.
us I know your Twitter feed, but you have to share your Twitter feed because I'm sure you don't mind people visiting your page because I'm sure people would love to only the sane. I'm gonna put that out there. Only the sane.
yeah.
Visit your page.
It's definitely a trigger warning. The first tweet that you see is going to be me like going ham like on my ex. That was one of my first pegging experiences. And I was just like, again, me just self-doubt with myself. I don't know how people are going to take this. At this point, I knew that I needed to make some money, and I knew that what I was doing, I wasn't in it for the money, even though it was a perk.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I really like to do, and I like to enjoy kink. And I feel like if you don't have that type of foundation where you like to do what you do, you're not going to have fun with it. It's going to reflect on whoever you have a play session with. And I was just like, you know what? I felt free. And I'm just like, yeah. So my Twitter is twitter.com Black Suede Pumps, BLAAKSUEDEPUMPS. Or you can just search like Goddess Hiromi, literally how it sounds. And you should be able to find me that way. But I really like what I do. I took a break to focus on my vanilla life, which is kind of boring now because I'm just like, damn, I miss my subs, but they still keep in touch with me. And it's really fun being a dom. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. What questions do y'all have for me?
I know it's a whole lot getting ready to come your way. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm gonna go. To the left, to the right. Ramel, go first.
Well, as y'all know, I've done a lot of things, and this is one of the things I've done. I had a guy build me a bondage closet in my apartment some years ago, and I enjoyed it. I really did. I made money off of it. But my question to you is, when you say a kink, because I was doing more fetish stuff, like, they wanted you to wear the heels and then step on their hands or tie them up and then spank them or put some soapy baby drawers on them, leave them in the closet, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I think now that I look back, some of those things could have been described as a kink. It was not. To me, it didn't seem normal. Like, why would you?
Did you get aroused when you were doing it?
I didn't get aroused. They paid me, so I didn't care.
Okay, that was probably a kink for you, more of like a fetish for them.
Okay. I kind of wanted to see what the real difference was. So the kink for me was doing something out of the normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you like to do, but if you're not like coming from it,
I didn't.
I consider that a kink. Like if it's a fetish, just something that you need in order for you to like have an orgasm. Like
Yeah, you got to have that. You can't
Yeah.
bust no nut without that.
Oh yeah, I do have one fetish, but yeah, okay, all right.
You gonna tell us what that is?
Um,
You don't have
well,
to. You don't
yeah,
have to now.
yeah, you know I'll tell anything. I don't care. JB, don't laugh. One of my fetishes is if I'm with an intimate partner that I've been with for a long time, I like to have him come inside.
Oh,
Okay.
cream pie. Okay. You like to be feel like a
Hold on,
You cool.
what you call that, goddess?
Fill
What you
me
just
up.
said? Hold
cream pie. You like to be feel like a Twinkie. I'm not bad at it. I ain't
on.
Yeah,
mad
Okay,
at it.
Right.
cream pie. Okay.
I like that.
All right, you next, Jay.
Wow. Oh, okay. Like, well, thank you for being here, goddess. Here, Romy.
Thank you for having me.
Uh, yeah, like, I'm really fascinated by this because hearing what you said, you're in IT, right?
Yes.
So you're a geek by day and a freak by night,
Yes.
right? And that is so cool. Like you have the contrasting lifestyles.
Yeah.
But some of the jargon, my question, like I don't know if you're married in a relationship or not, if that's possible to do that, why you do that. But the other thing you said, like pegging or something like that, you said,
Yes.
like some of the jargon, I'm just not familiar with when you were
Me either.
saying stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering what some of that meant. I forgot half of it now, but I remember peg. You said peg one time, I think.
Yes.
Um,
So
right.
if you look at my pin tweet or anything, or if you Google pegging, you will more than likely see a woman wearing a strap-on dildo, like a strap-on and a harness, the dildo attached. Sometimes the dildo has like a double-sided thing, so she's getting pleasure too. But she is
Oh, dang.
pretty much assuming the dominant role and
What you
herself
say?
from behind.
Okay.
I didn't know what
So,
that was either. I was sitting there like,
all right. I was glad I was the only one. So the other thing you said, the video that was the one you said was you were doing something with feet. What was you doing?
Yeah, I was doing a foot
Goddess.
job, so I can make my feet feel like a throat.
I go, who?
Bro.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, so are you saying?
You
Oh,
got a
okay.
throat.
So you
Yeah.
got your feet around his thing
Yes.
like that. Oh, you with your feet?
Yeah.
Tell me about
Gotta like feet.
it.
We intrigued.
Okay.
Oh, how.
You put
I'm
some
glad I
all on them.
got
What you
y'all
do? Put
guys
some.
on here because I'm just
Well,
like,
that's
Lord.
Kimmy. I'm just that's just
Jay,
fascinating though. But
Jay,
that's different. I mean, that's
it's
different. I
different.
learned
I
something
hear me
today.
say
I did
throat.
not know. Like that. Wow, that's a lot of baby oil and lotion on them feet.
I try to use a water-based lubricant to get like the full feeling because I know that baby oil can sometimes kind of dry out. So I'll use like wet platinum and everything like for that. So that's what I use. Now, when I peg, that's a little bit different. I use boy butter. And I go to PetSmart and I get like the little syringes that you would, like give a dog medicine, like if they had to take lipid medicine. And I insert that into you prior so that when I insert myself full into you, my dick is already coated and we don't have it makes the easing in process a little bit easier.
Oh.
Damn.
She's
And I
speaking my
always,
language.
I always put a condom, always put a
Hey.
condom on your toys too. Yeah, wash them thoroughly, dissect them, disinfect them and
Wow.
everything. But I put a condom on all my toys because I'm just really that clean. So
Oh,
even
I
though
was
it can get a
thinking I
little bit
would
messy
change.
sometimes.
I thought you would change them every time, get a brand new one.
I
You say
have
boy
made,
butter. Wow,
yeah,
that's
boy,
that's
and if
that's
you
the name of it, boy butter.
That's the exact name of it. It looked like country crock or like some sort of Lady Lakes butter. It's in a tube, like a butter tube, like something. You know how you put your old leftovers in? It looks just like that. Like if you,
Lord.
this
Wow,
is the shit. But,
you
shout out to
killing
Boy
the
Butter.
game
That's
out
one of
there.
my tweets when I mentioned them during the packaging video.
Okay, so am
Wow,
I the only one that's like a novice to hearing this?
No.
No,
I don't have any
no.
idea. That's what I'm saying.
I'm
I've
like,
never
so
heard
I'm
any of this
look,
jargon.
look, I'm look, goddess, I'm thankful because like you are like filling my head up because I never heard any of this. So okay. Keisha.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. I am learning. How do you ease someone, or how do you get someone, if this is their first time and they want to experience that? What do you do?
That's a
What is
good
the
question.
process?
So I
of-
go
How you break
before
them
we
in?
before
Yeah.
before we even meet, I have a vetting process. So that usually occurs when somebody sends me a tribute. That means you want to have a conversation. Does not mean that we're going to work, but that is in order to get my attention via DM. We can have a conversation that way, or I can do like a video chat. I have no problem showing myself on camera, except for today because I'm in vanilla mode. You do not want to see how I look. I hope I just today. Like, no, I'm really in grind mode and trying to get this certification. But usually when I talk to someone, I ask them if they have been with a Dom before. That process usually goes into that. They're like, yeah, I've been with someone. I asked for their reference. I'm like, do you have a video that a Dom is currently sharing online on their profile? Or can I go ahead and DM that Dom if you give them the name, because I want to know who you have been with, because this world is scary with the
Absolutely.
that's going on in the world. You really need to know who you're dealing with, and you really don't know a person even after meeting with them.
Mhm.
Once that ice is currently broken, I ask them, hey, have you been with a Dom before, or do you use a dildo actively? And if they tell me no, I ask them, well, do you use a butt plug? And they're like, no, well, actually, this is something that I actually wanted to try. I never did it before. I'm like, aha, okay. So we have identified you haven't been with the person and you haven't had a dildo. And both of those things, even though that they sound kind of painful, there are different levels of pain, because a regular stand-in dildo is going to be different than me putting force behind the dildo as a person. And that's definitely different from you using a butt plug. So I usually try to tell people, hey, if this is something you really want to do, go ahead and get you some nice lube. Go to the sex store. There's a Tokyo Valentino where I'm at here in Georgia, and use your butt plug. Get the smallest one. Please don't have to go to the hospital or anything, and wear it for like 4 to 6 hours a day, just to see how it feels. You want to do that for about like a few days. And I would say maybe like after a week or 2 weeks, once you feel comfortable, then you can go ahead and gradually go to another size dildo, butt plug, anal plug. And they usually sell them individually or in sets of 3. If the customer or a client has already done that, they're like, oh, well, I take dildos. I'm like, what's the largest that you're taking? Oh, I can take about 8 inches. I'm like, okay, well, mine is 10. So, and the length is
Bring that over here.
the length is really like the hardest part. It's the fact that not only am I lengthy, I'm girthy as well. I'm about 2.5 to 2 and 3/4 of an inch of girth. So it's just like, not only you're gonna have to fit me lengthwise, but widthwise, I'm gonna stretch you out. So I need to know if you, oh Lord, if you are, because I'm like, okay, so how do you use the dildo? Do you sit on it like as if you're riding? Do you put it on the wall like as a suction? Like, tell me the process. And even though it may seem a little bit uncomfortable, like, damn, you're really like dissecting what I do. I need to know if you're going to be prepared for this, because my style of pegging is a little bit different. And I try to make sure that I adjust per the client, because everybody is not going to want no hard thrusting. I mean, shit, you wouldn't want nobody coming up in you like if they scooting up in a chair 40 miles an hour. So it's just like, you have to really get to know your client.
I
And
think they need to be, they better take that screening form seriously.
you really do. I had a,
There has to be an emergency room.
I had a pegging promo that I did last year called Mary Pegmas. And I had gave away 3 different 1-hour sessions. You can have any type of session you want. Everybody wanted pegging for some reason. I'm like, all right, whatever. And one of my clients, as we're doing like a video, he's just like, ooh, this is a lot. Like, stop. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's just like, yeah, but he was just like, this kind of hurts. And I'm like, well, you told me that you were used to this. He was just like, yeah, I told you that I use a dildo. I was just like, so you have not been with the Dom before? And he told me no. And I'm like, that is something that you should really be telling people, because when I peg, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with like some of the porn actors. I'm Wesley Pipes. That's who
Shit,
I am.
you got.
And I am also mixed with a little bit of Prince Yeshua, a little bit of, I give my tenderness as if I'm what's the name of the guy with the glasses? He was one of my favorites, dark skin guy. His name is coming at my head right now, but I can't really remember it right now. But in some cases, when I really started like going ham, we weren't even pegging for 5 minutes. And I'm like, this is something that you need to know, because I don't want to hurt anybody who I have a client with or anything. And in one of my other videos, like I'm having the guy's legs up, like I'm putting my knee on the back of his neck, like, and I'm like going ham. So it's just like, hey, you need to know, you need to be honest. And I tell all my clients is don't try to be like somebody who think they could take a Hail Mary just because you took an 8-inch dick, meaning that you could take a 10-inch. Like that's not appropriate. You wouldn't want anyone to do you like that. So
Absolutely not.
Mm.
Okay, Celeste.
oh, and his name is Justin Slayer. Why did I remember him like after? But yeah, I talk dirty and all that, and I'll be like wet my dick up like a drive-by and all this other crazy shit. Like I'm very vocal. And I make them give me
Male
looks.
taking notes.
Yeah,
Male taking notes and shit.
She making me want to go back into doing that shit again.
I told you. I
I make
told you, male taking notes.
I threw away my box of dicks though, so
you need to get that back. I I make them suck my strap on cam, and
Oh,
that's kind of like it makes me feel powerful a little bit too.
yeah, yeah. And I use the blackest one I can find.
I want a black one. Mine is like pink. It's like a fluorescent pink.
Yeah.
I want a really black one that's really veiny and really girthy.
Yep. Yep.
Celeste, question.
Well, before today, I thought I could be a dime, but I don't think so. That's a
You
lie.
can.
That's a lie. I don't know. I don't know. I like the whole, like you said, the talking dirty and being very aggressive and being in charge. I like that. But I don't know nothing about no pagan and all that other stuff. I don't know if I could do that.
You know what? Like I would say find your niche because not all doms peg. I know in one of my sessions, one of them just wanted to be spanked. And I have a flogger, so I use that too. Some people like they're into sissy training, so they'll wear like a maid outfit.
What's that?
Sissification, where they are very emasculated. They wear female or feminine presenting items. And they do a lot of slave and chore work. And a lot of their kinks don't involve like sex. I mean, generally, like when I have a client, I don't have sex with them or anything unless like they're my partner, like for a relationship. But I would have him run errands for me. Like sometimes we'll go out in public and he's wearing some of the outfits that, you know, he would probably wear in the house or not around anybody else. But he would clean my house, he would fix me food, like different things like that. And it's fun. And they get off to it and they pay me to get off to them wearing those types of clothes. And I think in one of my videos, I had one of them like wearing a maid outfit and like a pink ski mask, and he was tying my shoes and stuff like that.
No, I could definitely do that. So I was a little confused on the fetish and the kink also, but I don't know if this is story time, but you know, I always have a story, y'all. So I was dealing with this guy and he just gradually kind of brought it to my attention that this is stuff that he liked. And I thought I would be okay. Like I said, I thought I would be okay. And he comes out with this, you know, his whole mask thing on, his ball in his mouth and you know, his little nipple clamps and everything. And he gave me something to whip him with. And when I tell you, I must have whipped the fuck out of him because he was like, whoa, lightly, damn it, shit, what the hell? Because it was my first time and I thought this was like kind of, I was like, yeah.
Hey. Look, as long as everybody honors the safe word, I say have fun. There are so many, kink and BDSM is just such a big umbrella. And there's so many things that you can do under there. Like you can have somebody be used as human furniture, meaning that they would be like a table or a chair. You can sit on them as long as you want and like do regular shit. Like it's so much fun. Like there's plastic play, there's edging, there's wax play. Like,
So explain some of those that you just named.
okay, so a lot of kinks require either like sensory enlightenment or deprivation. So when I would do wax play with someone, it's someone who likes a lot of heat, who want to experiment with a little bit of fire. I try not to go ahead and do too much of that because I'm like, oh, that's a little bit dangerous. But a lot of people like hot wax to be poured on them. And on their body too, especially if they are unable to get away. There is rope play. There is that's kind of fun. You can tie people up. Shout out to Solomon Abrams because he is a rigger where he ties some of his clients up. Some of them are suspending and hanging from the ceiling, which is like,
Wow.
he's a beast. I want to say edging. Okay, so edging, what I usually do with edging, you are bringing someone to the point of orgasm, but you are not letting them
Taking it
come.
away. Uh-huh.
Generally, when I do that, I like to go ahead and have someone tied up. And then I like to either give a hand job or a foot job. And then, like, I would put my finger over the urethra
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still stroking and everything like that. You're not able to come. And I'm making sure that you're not able to come. Or
Wow.
either I'm getting you to the point that you are very hard and then I'm locking you in a chastity cage so that you can't use your penis.
Whoa.
And then I'm become a key holder in that aspect.
Wow.
Wow.
There's one,
Wow.
there are people like there are some no-nos that everybody has hard limits. I like water sports. I don't mind peeing on you. I have sold my pee before. That's not a problem. But when it comes to scat,
So,
Yeah.
when it comes to scat, I don't
Somebody
do
bought
scat.
you
Wait a
I
minute, go back because let me tell you, it's hard
Wait.
times right now. Everybody can sell their P too and get some money.
I've sold my pee, I've sold my old house slippers, I've sold my used panties, like, sweaty from the gym or anything like that. Like, you can sell those things to people online or you can sell them like discreetly, like, hey, like, I've sold my like house slippers, like stuff I run around the house for like $50. I've sold socks for like 25. Like, someone would want, and they stinky socks. Like, I'm talking about, I went to the gym 5 days straight with the same sock and I've sold that for like $100. Or depending on if you just want a sock that I wore just one day, I may sell you that for 25. You can really negotiate your own prices. When it comes to pee, I get one of those like little medicine bottles that are hard to open. And I put my pee in there and I'll probably sell that for like $50 for 2 ounces.
Wow, we in the wrong business.
They love that. They love that pee,
They do
that
like
water play.
Mhm.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
CG, your
Whatever
turn.
you do with it, yeah.
Your question, CG.
I wasn't ready for today. I'll tell you that much. I wasn't ready. I guess I did have like a couple questions. I've got one friend who's a dominatrix. And one thing I've found is like there's not a lot of Black people in this. I mean, I don't know how your experience is in Atlanta, but I haven't met a lot of people out here. So like, dang, I'm how is your clientele? Like, are you dealing with a lot of Black
That's a
men?
good
Like,
one.
That is a really good question. Because when I first started out, and especially when I was just like, let me just do some test runs, I noticed that there weren't a lot of women who looked like me, especially online. And I'm like, how am I going to make that, how am I going to stand out? Like if everybody around me who is a Dom is white, or when they think of a Dom that's Black, they think of Ronnie from the Players Club during the bachelor party.
Right.
So I was just like, you know what? As I started putting myself out there and started looking up words like femdom or fendom, like financial domination, I started seeing like more people of color who looked like me outside of that. And I'm just like, okay, like, so people are really out here doing that. And I have a Dom, shout out to Lafari. She is my mentor. She told me that I need to use that to my advantage because not a lot of people are comfortable with opening up about their kinks or fetishes in the first place. And when they can identify with people who look like themselves, it'll be easier for you to get clientele because this is someone that they would feel comfortable talking to. And it won't feel like it's a stranger atmosphere. Like, yeah, again, you wouldn't go up to someone at the bus stop and tell them how much you want to get edged. Like, it's just not heard of. So the fact that people can come to me and I'm very personable as long as you follow directions, and then they can come as a sort of safe space. Yeah, I'm gonna offer that for you. Yeah, it gives me more money in the long run because I feel like you're able to trust me. And that is the basis of BDSM, is based on trust and consent. If you don't have those two things, you can really hurt yourself or the other person. And you are sharing a sort of part of them that they're not sharing with their wife or their spouse or whoever they're dating or their friends. Like this is some stuff that they take to the grave. And oftentimes when I talk to my clients, they're like, yeah, I cannot tell my wife about this. Like she would divorce me in a heartbeat. Or I've tried to talk about this with my friends, and my friends, they know I have a foot fetish, but they laugh about me about it. So the majority of my in-person clients are African American. They are young, The oldest client that I had, I want to say he'll be 51 this year. The youngest, I want to say he'll be 21 in a couple days.
Mm.
Um, and my virtual subs, they're online. The majority of those are Caucasian, and a lot of them don't live in the Atlanta area. But they told me if they did, or if I happen to fly out where they are, or they'll come and fly out to me, it'll be on and popping. The clients who I have virtually are the nastiest. Because I can tell them what to do from the comfort of my home, and you're gonna go ahead and do it. And one of the instances, I had made cookies, and my sub loves chocolate chip cookies. And he was just like, I don't want one. He was just like, but I don't have any cookies. And I'm like, well, what do you have? And he's just like, I have a honey bun. And I told him to go come on it and ate it.
A
Okay. Did
jizz
you say
bun.
sub?
Yeah, I've heard some crazy stories, man. I'm
too.
telling you, like,
Yeah.
White folks are the nastiest. Like,
what'd you say?
What?
He said white folks is the nasty.
Oh,
They are.
you know,
Yeah.
but I've been hearing a lot that a lot, especially from like, I mean, from my friend, she's like, there's a lot of black men who are, who are subs now too. We just don't hear
Yes.
about it. They're not very open about it.
No, the majority of the people who are my clients, they are engineers, they are former SWAT, they are rappers. They are people who in their vanilla life get to tell other people what to do and how to do it. So when they come and they meet somebody like me who they have to submit to, it's definitely a turn on for them. And they get a thrill out of the fact that they're in this sort of subspace because they're normally not this person when you see them regularly.
So why do you think men, as far as like within the subspace, because I mean, it's easy for a man to, come out here and say, I'm a dom or whatever. That's nothing. But when a man comes out here and he's like, why do you think there's such a big barrier with men admitting to being their sub? Do you think it has to deal with like them questioning their sexuality?
Not so
Or
much.
having other people question it?
I was going to say that. I was going to say maybe because other people are questioning sexuality. Usually when people hear that someone is getting, especially a man is getting tagged, they're like, oh, well, you're gay. This person is gay. I don't want to date a bisexual man. I'm like, this person is sexually attracted to women. They want their prostate massage. That's the only thing. As long as you are not doing something with the same sex or thinking about someone of the same sex when you're doing it, you are having heterosexual relations with someone. Like you're not gay, like in my opinion. And even if you are, that really don't bother to me. I'm an EOP, equal opportunity pecker. So if you want to, that's fine. But I think there's a stigma
Wow.
place that, people will think that they are gay, and having that information out about them, even though we live in a society where it's okay to come out. Not everybody is okay with other people coming out, especially when it comes to their loved one, or if it's going to jeopardize the dynamic of their family based on how somebody thinks of them.
Right.
Mhm.
Well,
Wow. Thanks for clarifying the sub, by the way, because I heard it enough. I was about to ask, then the submission, then I
Yes.
said, okay, that's the sub, because I was thinking substitute teacher. What's going on now?
Oh, no,
But
no.
I do have a
oh no,
question
Keisha
though.
is sitting here as the teacher, as a teacher.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got two
listen.
questions, too.
Is it ever to the point where you could do it full time? Like, is it that lucrative for you?
It's a very lucrative business as long as you were consistent. Like just because you put in your Twitter bio that you are a dominatrix and you show your feet and you got your middle finger up, or you occasionally like spank someone or tell people to give you your money, that does not make you a dom. Like you really have to go ahead and study what you are doing. You cannot half-ass it. And being part of a dom, you never stop learning. If you think that you are a dom who knows everything about kink, you're not going to progress far because it's
Right.
going to
Got to
leave you
keep
very
getting freakier.
So leaning into that, so is there where do you get your training? Is there a group? Or do you all get together and
I really
learn or help?
I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's a good question. I actually started when I started looking on Twitter, and I decided to, come fully out about it. When I started looking at doms who looked like me, I started just actually going out to them, and I was just like, hey, like, how did you get into that? Sometimes some of them don't want to be bothered. Others, they will gracefully welcome you in. I tribute them. because that's just a matter of respect. I'm taking time out of your day. You know, I wouldn't want someone to just get free resources from me and not give me anything for it. But before I got into the Twitter space with it, I would go on tris.link and make a link for myself, like an advertisement, in order to solicit clients. As far as learning more about BDSM, I was shadowing other DOMs who were already in my area or people who were already in the BDSM lifestyle. I would go to swingers parties. If you ever see somebody with an upside down pineapple sign or flag, they are a swinger. They are very into that shit. That's an identifier that you will know that they are part of that lifestyle. Places down here, Tokyo Valentino, the one on Cheshire Bridge, has a dungeon in their facility. So it's a sex shop on one floor, and on the other floor, there's like a private rooms, there's a dungeon. You can meet a lot of people there, go to trapeze, and that's how I met some people there. So not only am I gaining clients, but I'm gaining people and resources who are already invested in this lifestyle, and they're giving me the ropes as I go. And then I'm looking online at different things, looking about how the human body works and why we respond to kinks this way. Are they related to trauma? Are they hereditary? Which actually, there's been a study that kinks actually are. So whatever you're into, your mother or father is probably into that too.
Damn.
So,
Grandma was a freak.
so there's different resources. Some of them you have to jump in as far as like learning and being willing to learn and being in a space of like humility. Like sometimes I used to ask subs, what do you look for as far as a dom? And a lot of successful DOMs have also been in subspace to be able to identify as how a sub in order to learn how to treat them, because every sub is different. So I leaned on looking at other DOMs, male and female, because there are a lot of male DOMs out here who have a lot of female subs and male subs too. And resources online, and just going to a lot of like kink events and seminars and stuff like that, and sex parties and shops and stuff.
So I have a question. I don't know if we covered this already. I'm sorry if we did. What was your origin story? Was it like a personal relationship with, you know, somebody that you consider a sub, or was it like another dominatrix that you know introduced you to this?
Two parts to that. So when I was 22, introduced, I was in a relationship with a PK, and that's a pastor's kid, preacher's kid.
Mhm.
And I noticed that he just had like a lot of feminine energy. And I'm like, Lord, is this person like gay? I'm like, what the hell? Like, you're not even making a move on me or anything like that. Is it something how I look or anything? But he would literally worship the ground that I walked on. He is the type of person who would take off his suit jacket and let you walk over a puddle with it. And I had never been treated that way. And due to my toxicity and my past traumas, not getting the help that I need, I automatically assumed that this man was a fruit. And he was not. He was just like, oh, you never been like treated like this before? And I'm like, no. So he introduced me to FLR, which is female-led relationships. He liked to be the person who stood back and let me take authority. He liked for me to be put on a pedestal and to be worshipped. And I mean, when I say all aspects, this man would like cut my food and feed it to me with a fork. Like he was very into that. And he introduced that sort of lifestyle to me. He was just like, I don't know if you are kinky or anything like that. And back then, like, I was fucking, but I wasn't like in the BDSM world. So I was just like, it was very new to me. And I decided to look in more about it. And I was just like, okay. I'm like, well, everybody who would normally look at you would think that you would be a simp. I love simps. I love me a good little simp. Simp over me, okay? Worship me.
What's the simp? Wait a minute. What's that one now? What's that word?
So, well, people will be like, oh, like someone who would like really dedicate their all to women and feel like they have no self-control, like have a backbone, be a man, or you a simp, that they'll think of somebody like that when they think of somebody being in a female-led relationship, because they're not really taking the authority or the dominant role of being in a relationship. Like, it came to the point where I was making all the decisions. Like, I decided what we were going to eat today. I decided what you were going to wear, what you weren't going to wear. I'm deciding that you are going to finance my lifestyle because I'm the woman. And a lot of men were like, you let your girl do that? Like, I couldn't be me and everything. And I'm like, yeah, well, it couldn't be you. So, and then
All right
like,
now.
a couple years ago, I'm on Clubhouse heavy. And I have a club called the Trap House, where I actually met a really good group of friends. And we are friends to this day. And I had went on a date. I was telling them, I'm like, yo, I'm about to go on this date with this dude. They knew that I was in a relationship. Well, I was talking to this dude. And I went down to a brunch place called the Real Milk and Honey in Atlanta. And the dude stood me up and was really unapologetic about it and everything. I called him like I'm dressed up in heels and everything. Keep in mind of the things that I'm telling you right now, because it's gonna come up later. In heels and everything. And I'm going and I'm outside of the place. And I'm an emotional person. I'm a Leo, but I'm a sap. I started crying. And there's this guy who's just like sitting on the bench with his kid. And he's just like, like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, whatever. I brushed him off like typical like New Jersey person, like just being rude for no reason. I put my name on the registration list because I still wanted to eat. Shit, I came out like all this way for nothing. You gonna stand me up? And he was just really trying to talk to me. I'm just showing visible signs that I'm not interested. He was just like, well, I don't want you crying. Like, what's your name? I was just like, told him my name. And he was just like, your feet are gorgeous. And I'm like, it's not really the type of shit that I really want to hear right now, but okay, thank you so much. He was just like, I don't want you to see you crying. Where you stood up, and I was just like, yeah. I said, I came all this way for nothing. I don't live on this side of town. He said, well, you can come and eat with us. And I'm like, no, I don't want to impose. Like, I'll just sit in the corner or wherever and just eat. He was just like, no, I insist. And he started telling me what he did for a living. And he was a pastor in the area and everything like that. He said, this is my son. His son was like 2 or 3. And I'm eating with him. I'm having the time of my life. He's very sweet, very charming, takes care of the bill, everything. Let me order everything I want. He's just like, you know what? Well, you don't have to go. Like, you can come and watch movies with me and my son. And I'm like, I really don't know you to be like coming with you like in the middle of nowhere, and I really don't know you like that, so I'm just gonna have to pass. He said, oh no, my church is down the street. Keep in mind of everything that I'm about to tell you.
Oh
He
wow.
was
I'm
just
like,
like,
oh,
I said, okay. He was just like, if you don't, he said, it's actually across the train tracks, if you don't mind like driving us over there. It was like literally like a 30-second drive. I drove us there after, and he was just like, I wanted to get you out of those hills because, you've been walking around all day. He was just like, you're gorgeous, so just give me compliments and everything like that, blah, 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 blah. So he was just like, do you want to watch a movie? It's the 3 of us. We're in the church's like lounge area. And I was just like, sure. He was just like, I'm gonna put on one of my favorite movies. You're gonna love it. He said, have you seen The Equalizer? And I'm like, no. So at this point,
In church.
hold on a minute. He takes his kid. And he was just like, you ready to go take a nap? And I'm like, well, he's not sleepy. He was just like, I'll be right back. He put the baby in like the church's nursery, like down the hall, like literally like scooped this boy up and then put him in the nursery. The boy was not asleep. And I'm sure he's probably confused, like, what the fuck is
he
going
might
on?
be used to this.
So while he's going, I immediately text my friends like, hey, if anything happens to me, I'm at this church with this man. They're like, why the fuck are you in the church? You were just supposed to go to brunch. And who was he? I'm like, look, like, this is his Instagram, da 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 da. It's always good to go ahead and send your location wherever you at. And definitely ping my location to them. So he came back and he was just like, like, make yourself comfortable and everything. So we're on this church couch watching The Equalizer with Denzel Washington and everything like that. And he was just like, your feet are so pretty. And I'm like, why the fuck is he saying that? He was just like, can I take off your shoes? And I'm like, that's a really strange question to ask somebody. He was just like, well, do you want a massage? And I'm like, oh, sure. So I'm trying not to be like kind of awkward. I let him take off my shoes and I'm watching The Equalizer. And then all of a sudden I feel something wet. And I'm like, I'm trying to like, how you look out of your peripheral without like actually trying to look over. This man had half of my foot down his throat.
Oh, foot sucker.
I'm not even talking about like one toe.
Pastor.
Yeah. Pastor had taken
In
my
the
foot
church.
and put it down his throat. And then he started smearing like the bottom of my feet, which was wet as fuck, like all over his face and everything. And I'm like, oh,
Wow.
okay. So like I told him to go on his knees. I started trampling him. And I started stomping on him a little bit and everything like that. And he was really getting off. Like he's jerking himself and doing like a trampoline foot fetish, foot worship session. And he had reached over into one of the desks. And it happened to be Vaseline and a towel in there. And I'm like, is this planned? Because how is just the utensils and the everything that you need just readily accessible?
It wasn't his first time.
So
That's the only answer.
so I took pictures of it because I'm like, nobody is gonna believe that this shit is happening to me.
No, they not, because he done had all the parishioners rolling through doing the same stunt.
I turned my sound off, and when I had the picture, I'm like, please don't let this flash. And I took the flash off and I just snapped a quick picture, as if I was just going through my phone and everything like that. And then like he came, and then like he wanted to take one of my toe rings. So I like gave it to him. I'm like, okay. And he was very, very very lethargic after it. Like it was just like one word answers. He was very soft spoken. I was just like, are you okay? He's just like, yes. Like one word answers, very monotone. And I'm like, okay. He was just like, so I'll see you like next week, I guess. And I'm like,
Okay.
okay. You can see me next week. I said, we're gonna work out a pricing and all that other stuff too. And then since then, like he was the person who, as soon as I came to the door at the church, mind you, I went home and showered, I prayed. I was just like, oh my God, I feel mortified. How the fuck could this happen to me? But then my black ass is over there 4 days later. And like at that point, he's taking off my sneakers with his teeth. And like I'm stepping on him, kicking on him, and we're doing a foot worship session, and he is having the time of his life. And even though I wasn't doing anything like promiscuous, that's something that I would have to really explain if somebody were to walk in on us. And we did it for a few sessions until he got really needy, and I was just like, yeah, I gotta go. I really didn't feel comfortable during in the church. But yeah, I was just like, yo, y'all not gonna believe what happened. I'm over here today. And they're like, yo, stop seeing this man. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, I can't, like the money too good right now. And I'm like, this is somebody from the church. And they're like, yeah, somebody from the church. You should not be doing that. And then I'm like, you know what? I that day I was just like, yo, if I can do that, ain't no limit to me getting this bag without me having to take my clothes off. Oh, no shade to people who take off their clothes off in the sex industry. But if I ain't got to do that and I could walk away with some money and I could feel liberated and we're both getting an enjoyment out of this, oh, let's go. And from that point, I just started to go hand with it and do different specials and stuff like that. I was more consistent. And then I wanted to get into like pegging and other things too, because I was just like, you know what, the girls out here are doing that. Let me just see what it's about. If I don't like it, I don't like it. But at least I can say that there's something under my belt.
I got a
Let
question
me
for
ask
you,
one
though.
question. Go ahead, Jack. I mean, Keisha, you had a question, didn't you?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, I know you're a dom, but have you ever been a sub to understand what they go through? Sometimes, yeah.
Um, I have not since being a dom. I have not been a sub as far as that, and I look at it as something that is now beneath me. Like I've had like subs like playfully say, I can't wait for the
Literally.
roses reverse, and I'm like, well, that will never fucking happen. Like I really take offense to that, but I would say in my past relationships, especially vanilla, the men were more dominant, even though that I showed my dominant side. And I just felt like I wasn't really happy in those relationships. And now with me being, being a dominatrix, you're considered a sex worker. I have had some of the most like pleasant interactions, even with situations that haven't worked out, because I actually feel free. I feel happier. And I like being a dom. I do have a switch side to me. So there are some instances, like in some positions or different types of scenes, where I can display a role of submission, but it is very quick and it is very brief, and only a select person can get that type of side out of me. And usually I'm in the dominant role after that. So
Have one last question, one quick question. So does this interfere with your regular relationship with the person that you are in a relationship with?
That's a good question, because I know like when people hear like, oh, you do that, or I couldn't do that, or sometimes people look at me and they're like, oh, I can never be with someone like that. I now let people know up front, like, hey, this is what I do. This is what comes with it. If you don't feel comfortable with that, I completely understand, because I believe in giving somebody the opportunity to let them know, hey, if this is who I am. And when people show you who they are, you need to go ahead and believe them, because I ain't finna stop for you. This is something that I was doing before you. So the guy that I'm talking to now, he like, oh, I don't look at you when I look at that, but he's a foot fetish person.
Oh.
And he's really into that. And like the guy, like a couple guys before him, one of them is a major sub. He is a Marine, my ex-boyfriend. And when you look at him, you would not think that he's the type of person that be into that, but he is very submissive to the point that he
Hey,
uses
Marines are
more
crazy.
puppy.
Wow.
We all crazy, so I ain't even.
Wow.
I'm not even shook.
But anybody
Well,
else, they've been actually
yeah,
cool with it, and they're cool with the fact that I'm really honest with them about what I do. And especially since some of them reach out to me through Twitter anyway, like to get to know me. So it's just like you see what I do. You see what I do to people booty holes on a
right,
regular. Hey,
right.
are you gonna be cool
So,
with that?
so you know, that's what I was going to ask you earlier, right? Thinking about it, like, has it ever went too far? But it's kind of like a three-part question. That's what I was going to ask you. Like, really, 911 had to be called. But then, two, have you ever just like in your vanilla life, because you said vanilla life, saw somebody like the freak flag accidentally waved or anything like that, and you just like y'all knew, like you could tell. And then the other part I wanted to ask you was, just sound like to me, regular fucking just is not gonna do it anymore. Like when you do that, do you get a nut too? Like, does that what brings you to orgasm? I mean, like, just I know regular fucking just ain't gonna do it. Don't sound like it anyway.
No, no, it's not even like that. But when it comes, that was a lot of questions there. And I'm sorry, my attention span is like
I
really
know. I'm
short.
sorry. I know, right?
No, it's
My
not
bad.
your
My bad.
fault. I
I
just
couldn't remember 'em earlier.
I just want to be sure that I answered all of them. But when it comes to regular sex, I love regular sex. I just want to be with the person who's just as nasty as me, and that's hard for me to find
Oh,
because
wow.
I'm into a lot of shit. And then when it
True.
you know, you want to be free. Like sex should be something that you should be having fun and it should be enjoyable. Yeah, I still do missionary. I still do doggy and everything like that. No, I'm not behind anybody when I do that. I like to be the person that's in front sometimes, but sometimes
Yeah.
I like to throw it back. I don't want you to do anything. Let me do the work. So that's when my dominant side comes out and stuff like that. Um, I pretty much like to do it all. That doesn't interfere with anything. I make sure that I definitely get an orgasm. And I actually make sure that the person that I'm with actually gets theirs first before I go mine. But then it's just like when you're dealing with someone who's as nasty as you, it's just like neck and neck because you're both trying to make each other come, which is amazing. But
Right, right. Like what I'm saying is like the guy, your boyfriend, would he have to be almost like a sub, or
oh
could he just
no,
be a dude that's you like you can't put the strap on with me, babe. I'm just letting you know.
yeah, like the
You
dude
can't
that
put the
I'm
strap
talking
on with me.
to.
That kind of guy. Could you date that kind of guy? Is what I'm saying, you know?
So the dude that I'm talking to, and I told him, I'm like, yo, you interested in like making content and everything when I get back into doing it? He was just like, yeah. He said, nope, you ain't strapping me. I'm like, I know I'm not gonna be strapping you. So he is foot fetish, foot worship. So he will be into doing a lot of things like that, a lot of trampling, and foot job, foot worship, different things like that. Like in some of the well, I know in some of the things that we've done, like I've sat behind him and I gave him a foot job from behind. My legs are kind of long and he likes nipple play and stuff like that. And that's what gets him off and stuff like that. So if I'm doing it at the same time, yeah, I'm dominating you. Yeah, I'm behind you. You don't really feel submissive, but I'm taking control of the situation because I'm taking control of your nut, when and how you're gonna orgasm, how hard you're gonna come for me. So but yeah, like the guy that I'm into now, he don't want to be pegged and I ain't gonna force him or anything like that. I don't be looking at him like, hey, like bend over, but I be slapping his ass and everything now and then.
So,
Wow.
question for you. And I think Jade was alluding to this. Has it been a time where a situation went terribly wrong?
Not yet. Um,
Okay, so that's good. That's good. That's good. So,
and knock on wood, thank God. No, I have not been in a situation where I've had to go ahead and call someone or have them go to a hospital or anything. I also tell myself that you need to go ahead and flee and not eat before you meet me, because we are not trying to have no accidents or anything like that. If that water ain't clear, then you need to go ahead and handle that. And of course, with my aftercare, I clean them all up. I get the wet rag, I hold their legs up like I'm changing a diaper, clean them and all that other shit.
The water ain't
But
clear. What that mean?
I haven't had any accidents, and I think that had that situation where the sub had not been with a dom, I have a feeling that if I would have went forward or if I wasn't responsible enough to stop when I knew that he was hurting, even though he didn't use a safe word with me, which I tell people, and I ask what's your safe word so we can know, because I don't like people to go ahead and try to take pain when they know that they can't. Had we went further than what we were trying to do, I have a feeling that he would have had to go to the hospital because of how hard that I was like throwing it at him.
oh wow.
Damn.
Well, this is a whole new world. I'm so glad we did this episode. I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy this. This is really I'm going to say educational because you went through a whole lot. And I probably a lot of people are going to try to contact you too, Goddess, because honestly, I think it's what people preference is, and it's nothing wrong with it. I think that it's a business to you, but also it's pleasurable. But you're very honest about what's going on and informative, and you can't get no better than that. You know what I mean? So people know exactly what they're getting into. You know, it's truth to light. So in closing, first I want to thank you for being here, and I want to make sure that everybody has all their questions expressed now before we close this up. But I want to personally say thank you, because this was an outstanding episode. So
Thank
before we
you.
shut it down, team, y'all got any final words for her?
got one
I'll
question.
start- Okay.
I think we danced around it, but we never really talked about it. The safety issue for you. Like, I know you talk to them and you try to find out who they are before you meet with them, but is there ever a time when you had to just walk and get out because you didn't feel safe?
No, but one of my clients, it was a ass worship session that I did, and I kept my hoodie on and everything like that. And my gun had fell out of my hoodie pocket, and we both kind of looked at each other. Both kind of looked at each other like, what's this? And I'm like, and then I'm like, whatever, keep going. Like I went ahead and smothered him while I was just trying to go ahead and rearrange myself, because I keep that thing on me, and I try to make sure that
That's right.
I text people and I call people, send them a picture. Hey, this is the area I'm in. This is the parking space. This is my location, and they know me. They're like, all right, well, if you don't update us after the session ends, we're gonna go ahead and do a search party for you, because we don't play that shit. And the type of
that's
people
right.
that are out here nowadays, you can never
Wow.
be too careful.
Good.
I have had people reach out to me via DM before I even had a session asking, hey, have you been with my husband? Or, has my boyfriend contacted you? And it's just like, oh, this is the type of crazy shit that I gotta be with. I go ahead and disconnect completely from the client. And I'm not one of them people who be like, well, I'm gonna take your money back. No, I'd rather you have it. Here you go. Your wife just called, or your girlfriend just called, or she's making tweets about me. I don't know what I'm about to walk into. It's not worth it. And you can never be too
Gotcha.
careful. And it's been instances where people were like, hey, this is my man's ass. Have you seen it before? And I'm like, now why the fuck do you think I would know that ass from another one? Like, it's just a lot to do.
Okay,
Damn.
and in closing, if you ever have a little baby class where you're going to teach,
I do mentorship.
just baby, I want the baby. I don't want to
I
wipe
got
no
you.
ass or no shit like that. I don't want to do that.
I got you. My mentorship course covers all sorts of areas of BDSM. We find out your niche and where you want to go, how you want to market yourself, what we're gonna do to get there.
Yeah, I want to make
Wow.
lots of noise and
You know, that's a
We
really
gonna have
good
fun.
idea. Like, look, when every time I put an episode out, I like to put the person's information. But we're probably gonna talk offline. And we're gonna see if we need a little starter class, like a little starter jacket or something. We'll have a little
You guys
fun.
have been such a great help to me. So what I will do is, Kim, I will go ahead and send you a PDF file of what the class entails. This is
Okay.
just like a starter pack for baby doms. We go into more explicit shit and more depth when we either meet online or in person, but you can go ahead and share that to everybody. I would want you to have that, because it was amazing talking to y'all, and I want y'all to, oh, and if you ever wanted to, if you aren't comfortable doing it now, but want to reach out to me, my link is always in my bio, and the second portion is where you sign up for the mentorship. But I'm about to go ahead and send this over to you right now so you can get it.
Thank you. Anybody have any other final thoughts or questions? CG, J?
Oh no, I'm just like, wow. I never look at the IT department the same again.
Oh, you can, man.
No, in
can.
all seriousness, though.
Man, he gonna be
It's
calling
very,
IT tomorrow.
very
I got a problem with my
right.
computer, please.
Hey, the one thing y'all can fix shit.
Yo,
Y'all,
nerds and
y'all
geeks are
good. Y'all,
freaky, man. Like,
what? I was saying, like, y'all are beasts for real. But no, it was very enlightening. As Kim
It
said, very
was.
educational. I mean, I did learn, and I'm thoroughly impressed that just how polished you are about it.
Yes.
I mean, you're
Thank
very
you.
knowledgeable. I mean, because the first thing come to my mind on a Dom, I have really had a chance to talk one, and like you hit a man in the balls with a bat. But it's
I do
more.
that too, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the kind of crap I've heard. And I'm saying no disrespect to nobody that does that, but it's just interesting, and I'm glad you shared with us. I did. I learned a lot. I really did. I was like, wow,
Thank you so
it's pretty
much.
cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna share my story. I got a story about meeting somebody to do that.
Oh,
No, tell us, hurry
That's
up in
another time.
closing, Jay. Tell us in closing.
Okay, real quick. We was on the phone and we got to talking and stuff, and she had been drinking, and she was like, I want to tell you this story. So she started telling me a story about this guy she ended up meeting, and she's like, yeah. So we went to the hotel room, and she said at first, I didn't know what to expect. She said, but he came in there and he was like, ripped my shirt off and threw me against the wall, and she said it was the best time I ever had. Yeah, I guess she was a sub, baby. I don't know, but
yeah.
sounds like to me, yeah. And she said that made her have an orgasm. That's how she busted a nut and it got rough. So she decided to go into it, and but that's what she does. She physically, beats the guys. Like, they want to get punched in the face and,
Mhm.
she's telling me stuff like that, kicked,
Mm.
just be physically,
I
I'm
do a
looking
lot
at
of
her like,
CBT, cock and ball torture.
yeah. I was like, okay, don't put your hands on me. I'm just telling you right now. I promise you that. We're gonna go 12 goddamn rounds. I promise. No, in all seriousness though, I just know that it's all kind of people out there that have fetishes, and thank you for the clarification too between a kink and a fetish though. But yeah,
Absolutely.
If
nice meeting you
any of
though,
y'all have
goddess.
any questions or anything, please don't
Romy.
hesitate to reach out to me. I'm very friendly and
Yeah.
personable. I got a
Yes,
lot
you
going on
are.
right now, but I will make sure that I will at least get a chance to talk to you and answer whatever you need. Or I don't care what it is. Y'all have been really great to me, and it's definitely an honor to be in the presence of each and every one of y'all, man.
Well, thanks for
you.
coming.
Thanks for coming. We
All right
appreciate
now.
it. And in closing, guys, make sure that you follow her on her Twitter page.
I'm going straight to
Always
Twitter
be
right now.
respectful. Always keep in mind that this is a professional woman. She carries herself so, and she is always to be respected. On this platform, we honor and respect what you do, Goddess, and we thank you for coming on here and sharing and enlightening us with just knowing the difference between fetishes and I don't know, all the things. I got so many things going around in my head, but it's a lot, and I think that is interesting because it makes you say, you know what part do I like? You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna put it out there. But thank you again. So join us every Wednesday when we put out a new episode. You can catch us on our social media pages. Let's Chit Chat Sis is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So have a good evening, and we'll see you next week.
You as well. Thank you. Bye.